marriage can be fun.
Yeah.
Not because it's easy, but because it's intentional.
Yeah.
I think it's just reflecting on your marriage. If it feels like you're lacking fun, what can you do to be intentional with it? And know that it is possible to have fun with your spouse. They're not a drag. They're super fun. And I think that you can snowball this. When you start rolling this fun snowball, you might find that your spouse becomes more fun and then you become more fun, and it is a chain reaction and it just keeps increasing.
This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to episode 84. We are so glad that you're joining us today and so proud of you. Proud of you for making this investment in your relationship, and glad you're here.
Yeah, 84 episodes.
We're creeping up there.
That's awesome.
Ryan, I feel so confused right now about the weather. I'm sitting here in a sweater.
Yeah.
And I feel it's really hot today. I'm way overdressed.
Yeah. Well, we just got back from Florida.
And it was cold last night.
Yeah.
And it was cold this morning.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
And now I'm hot.
Yeah. It's sort of getting back, getting back to... It was 85 degrees there when we left, and it's...
We have tans.
Like 60 degrees.
Burns. My scalp is still burnt.
Oh.
But it's confusing to get back and acclimated to the weather.
Yeah.
And we're ready to go back.
Ready to go back. We had an awesome trip. Yeah,
super
it was really fun.
Yeah. I think it was a short trip for us, but it was like a belated spring break with our kids, and it was great.
Yeah.
We did 2 parks, Magic and Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
Great crowds. I don't want to give you guys... I'm debating if I should give them this tip because it might add to the crowds, but...
Oh, no, do it.
We'll share.
Yeah.
2nd or 3rd week of April, perfect time to go.
Yeah.
We've been a handful of times that week, and it's like the golden week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spring break is over, and it's before Easter. Easter is late this year, so I feel like crowds are kind of picking up. There were a load of people going as we came home.
Yeah.
I feel like I know 3 people there, 3 friends there right now, but... That's like the magic time.
Yeah.
Weather's great, especially if you're from the upper Midwest. It's going to feel like summer.
Absolutely.
So there you go. That's your tip.
Yeah.
A little bonus for you guys today.
Bonus tip.
Ryan, we are talking about something that makes people kind of raise their eyebrows.
Yeah.
The phrase, marriage is fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're talking about today. And if I would have had access to a confetti blaster, I would have brought it in because... Marriage is fun. Maybe Patrick can cue the confetti.
Oh, yeah.
We can pretend like we're, confetti's falling.
Right.
Marriage is fun. And this is based on, we tell you guys a lot of times we'll get prompted with show topics based on conversations. And really there are 2 conversations that propelled us in this direction where we thought we need to do a show to reclaim the fact that marriage is fun, to give you hope and to give you inspiration. Maybe you've lost that fun feeling in your marriage. How do you get it back? We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
Super excited for you guys in the show topic. So first story was mine. I was at a meeting and I was sharing that, my husband and I do a podcast together. Our church asked us to host it. It's a marriage podcast. And we had just done a sermon together and we were doing another one soon. And we're on the speaking circuit, and somebody made the comment. They were like, wow, I have so many questions for you. And it was in a meeting, so I wasn't going to, ask and say, what do you mean? But I think the implication in that was, like, how do you do that with your husband and still, come out alive on the other end? How do you do that with such a good attitude? And how do you guys operate together and make it fun? Because when I tell these stories, there's joy in it.
Yeah.
There's joy in my storytelling because I love doing this with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And our second really story that came about... Was this 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
From today, we were in our life group, a small group. It's a couples small group. We have, 4 different couples? 4?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
5 with us, yeah.
Yeah, and I had made a comment during our group just stating being married is really fun. Mm-hmm. And one of the other people in the group said, Ryan, I'm so glad you said that. Because they're engaged. And she's like, all I hear is like, oh, marriage is the worst. Marriage is a drag. Marriage, is so hard.
Suck the life out of you. Doom and gloom.
Right. Everything was so negative. And it just wow, I don't know. It kind of brought this to the forefront of like, we talk a lot about, marriage being hard work, but it's also really rewarding and really fun.
Yeah, it really, when they said that, it really made me, one, relieved that we talked about it in group, but two, a little bit sad that is a perception. And here this amazing couple is going into a relationship a little bit like, oh my gosh, is it going to be awful? Is it not going to be fun? Is it, going to be a drag? And I think that culture does feed into that stereotype. You see it on shows that you watch. You see it, you hear it in the break room. You hear coworkers talking about it. You hear groups of people talking about it when they're out and about. If it's the gals together, the guys together, kind of complaining. And you see it on social media. You see it in reels. And a lot of it is kind of meant to be funny. But I think the problem in that is there's a seed of truth in it. And it can plant kind of toxic and not healthy seeds, shaping your view of marriage. So a recent trend going around is people saying, doing reels and saying a day in my married life. But it's really kind of a passive-aggressive stance of them showing a fight about the thermometer or not thermometer, about the thermostat or, the unclean dishes in the sink. And it's in a way showing this negative view of marriage is meant to be funny, but it also starts to then shift your perceptions of what marriage is.
Yeah.
And maybe we just need to take back more reels and more posts about how fun marriage is, which is why we wanted to do this show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many common things out there that, marriage is the end of your freedom. Kids ruin everything. It's all downhill after the honeymoon, like all of those things. I think of so much of the stereotypes that have come, basically at the cost of, I think, men and women in marriage. And I think it's, I think of that, the dumb husband that just loafs around and doesn't do anything. And then like the nagging wife. Yeah. And like, there's so many of those things just have painted this really, really just ugly picture of what married life is like.
Mm-hmm. I know those are pet peeves for you. When people say like, the old lady or whatever, it's just negative. It paints a negative picture.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it brings about a couple of questions. One, like what were the expectations before marriage? Like what was your expectation going in? And then how has that changed?
Yeah. And maybe why has it changed?
Why has it changed? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those are really important questions to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are great questions, Ryan. There's a quote. It says, "The most romantic thing is not flowers and candlelight. It's doing life with joy." Author unknown. I love that.
I love that. Yeah.
I think it reinforces our same team mentality that we talk a lot about. Right. When you're on the same team or having fun together.
Yeah. I mean, I think fun can be the norm. If you it's really about what you choose. What you choose to do. It doesn't have to mean being fake or perfect or anything like that. And we hope that you can see that through the joy, teamwork, intentional living. And we want to share that
we
with
live.
you. Yeah,
we try to show
that we do. Yeah, absolutely. And we want to share that with you today. So we hope that this will be life-giving and we think relatable.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. So, Michelle, question for you.
Okay.
Why are marriages fun?
Why is marriage fun?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I wasn't even expecting you to ask me that. Okay. For us, I think it's because I have a partner in this and life is funny. Life is messy. Life is hard. Life is rewarding. Life is joyful. And to have someone to almost have like the inside scoop with, or the inside jokes, we can laugh at things in a way together that you know the most. I would say out of all the people, I mean, apart from, God, my Father, you know the most about our life, about me, about the things that happen, and have like a true partner in that is super fun.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to explain things. You just know. And I feel like all the time even as a family, we'll make these inside jokes or say things. And it's just hilarious because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think of just, this past week, we've been in Florida. We were at Disney and, I think of we had this like impromptu photo session of, I think every combination of our family got in the mix.
Yeah. It started as it was this glorious break in traffic, just like we told you, it's this really great week. And there were times of high crowds, but there was a lower crowd moment in front of the castle at Magic Kingdom. And I said, Ryan, we should take a picture together.
Yeah.
Right? Is that how it started?
Yeah, that's how it started.
And then because our daughter was taking it, I thought, it'd be funny if we kissed,
Yeah.
And then because she didn't know what we were going to do. So we kissed and then we like held hands. And then I think she said, oh, Dad, let me do it. So then we thought it was so hilarious to find every combination of photo ops. Although I realized I forgot to do one with Ella. But we tried, we did you and I, we did the siblings, we did you and Ella, we did Thomas and I. So we just stood there taking a million photos.
Yeah.
And it was so fun, but also funny.
Yeah.
Because your guys' photo, you and Ella were doing just a really comical pose.
I don't know. Yeah.
You had like a leg kicked out and your arms jazz hand or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's finding these moments, I think it's for us, it's been doing a lot of things together, whether that obviously being the podcast, what we're doing here, I think it's finding the fun in that. I think it's finding, whether it's the podcast, the sermon, that we preached earlier. I think all of those things. And then I think it's just every day. Yeah. Every day. It depends the lens that you look at it through. I think you can find joy in it.
Sorry, I was just thinking of other examples. And just, I don't know, even throughout the day, you'll text me just funny things.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, it's just a regular old, show here, at work, or just funny things that we had previously discussed. I think pastor, author, comedian, friend of the Celebrate MarriageCast, Ted Cunningham, he calls it the callback. And I'm sitting here trying to think of what it is that makes it so funny. It's the callback. Yeah. We have a lot of callbacks in our marriage. Yeah. Which is when a comedian will tell a joke, and then later on in the act, he'll say just the smallest little line, and is so much funnier because she's referencing a joke earlier in the set, and now you're all in on this inside joke together. That's what we have. Yeah. We have a lot of callbacks in our marriage throughout the day. You can send me a text and say, blah, blah, blah. And it's so funny because it relates to an episode or an incident a week prior or, so... Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I want to share this with the public, but we left our garage door open.
Oh, yeah.
When we left town.
We went on vacation and left our garage door open.
My mother came to pick us up. She backed into her driveway, and when she left, we drove over the curb, and our flight time changed and moved up 20 minutes, and there was a lot of chaos. Yeah. Our garage door was open. But now it would be really funny if we left, and we would now have a joke about that and be like, hey, you're going to let the whole neighborhood in our house this week? Or, whatever. That would be a perfect story. Now that it's settled, it's fine. Yeah. Our house is safe. Our neighbors got it. It's safe and everything. But that would be the prime setup for a callback. Right. Yeah. And that's what makes life fun. Man. We can laugh about it together.
Yeah. I mean, obviously everything was still in our house, which makes it funny now.
Praise the Lord.
Right. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's stuff like that. And it depends on the lens that you look at it. I mean, part of that situation, it very easily could have been blaming, each other. Yeah. And obviously, it was stressful. We were gone, but it's, I don't know. It's trying to find the joy, trying to find the humor in those everyday things that happen. Because
what are you going to do?
Yeah,
you can't change it.
You can't, and that's the thing, that it's how you choose to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the key concept is when you are married, Ryan, just to kind of come back to the question you asked me about why, why is marriage fun? It's this shared mission and a shared joy. Psalm 133 verse 1 says, how good and pleasant is it when God's people live together in unity. And there are lots of scriptural foundation for just fun and joy in marriage, but Ecclesiastes 9:9 says, live happily with the woman you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun. It doesn't mean that life is meaningless, but just in the everyday, in the ordinary, find joy in that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then one that we've talked about and done a whole show about is Genesis 2:18. It's not good for man to be alone. God created partnership on purpose. And how can you turn those everyday moments into just that rewarding partnership that we talk about often?
Yeah, I think that's, Michelle, I'm so glad you said that, because I think that's really that rewarding partnership. I love that line, because I think, part of culture tends to like isolate, divide, glorify independence, of it's all about me, right? And it's about what I want and not this rewarding partnership.
Yeah.
That I think is so important. And I think it's missing, I think marriage has kind of gotten this rap, and it's really unfortunate.
Do you think that something shifts in them too when they're married? They almost feel like it's restrictive, and maybe that makes it feel less fun, when really if you view it as a partnership where you both need to be giving to the other, that fuels the flames of the fun and the joy and the rewardingness of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think that's spot on. I think if both of you are entering, I think, this partnership as being just takers. I'm going to take. And
of course, it's not going to be fun.
It's not going to be fun.
You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be bitter. You're going to be angry.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe it's also evaluating, is that your mindset?
Yeah.
Is it, what is my spouse doing for me?
Yeah.
Or is it, how can I pour into them in our marriage? And that is going to have a byproduct of more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just had that realization.
Yeah.
That was great.
I love it. Yeah.
So Ryan, what makes a marriage fun? Give us a secret sauce.
Secret sauce. I mean, I'm going to say this and it's going to sound really stupid.
No, it won't, because everything you say that's simple is like, let's put that on a t-shirt right now. It's quotable.
Right.
It's how you say it.
Yeah, I do think, though, there's so much in laughter. In absolutely like sharing laughter together.
Sure.
There's something that changes. I know there's some science behind this that like it is, when Ted Cunningham was on, he talked about this.
Yeah, it's from his book, A Love That Laughs.
Yeah.
And he talked about the chemical reaction that happens in your brain when you're laughing, especially laughing with your spouse. It creates a reaction.
I mean, I think there's something of just sharing laughter together.
Mm-hmm. That would be a great episode for people to go back to. It was our very first episode, right? We started out with a huge bang. Go back to episode 1.
Yeah.
When out of the gate, we interviewed a famous author and comedian.
Yeah. I mean, I think being, also being curious of each other, I think asking questions, is super fun in getting to know each other. I mean, we've been married 13 years and I feel like there's still things that I'm finding out.
Yeah.
But I think that's a little bit of your mindset. I think you have to be curious. You have to ask curious questions. You have to be, interested and ask those things.
Yeah.
I also think we take ourselves so seriously, and I get it that there's hard things. I totally get it, but it's funny that, Michelle, you sent me a message today about, so like to go on this trip, we used a lot of credit card points.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, hey, Ryan, thanks for tearing your ACL. Like, we got to go on a trip.
I didn't say tearing your ACL, but I did put the leg emoji.
The leg emoji.
You knew what I meant.
I knew what it meant.
I was like, Yeah, what did I say? Something to that.
Yeah,
Santa,
something along those lines.
Thanks so much, love. And then a leg emoji.
Right.
That, hey, a silver lining.
Silver lining, but it's like I could look at that and I laughed because I'm like, oh, you're welcome. Like I did it on purpose, you know what I mean? But it's those things of just like, there's so many things that happen that, again, we take ourselves so seriously, and part of like, be willing to step outside your comfort and just, doing a dumb pose in front of the Magic Kingdom with our daughter, and we're both just giggling like
right.
children,
I think the other thing, just to jump in, some other fun things too, is just back to that text message. You can send so many fun gifts or emojis or just funny things. Ryan works at an office where there are turkeys that wander by, and so you'll send
wild turkeys outside.
How's it gonna be?
Just turkeys wandering by, like coworkers. Sorry,
sure.
There's a joke for you. Sorry. Anyway,
wild turkeys, animals
outside. Yep. Carry on.
Anyways, you'll send pictures of them, and you'll narrate, and you'll say, wonder what this guy's thinking, or whatever, just funny photos of these turkeys, and they'll fluff their feathers up, and you'll send commentary about, going into battle or whatever. It's just funny. But some people would see that and just think, oh, okay, there's a wild turkey out in nature, but you take a moment to see little things that bring you joy, and you share that joy with your family.
Yeah. Funny story. Sorry, this is a quick aside, but it has to do with the turkeys.
Okay.
This happened to me I don't know, a few months back. No, it was last summer. Sorry. My time is all mixed up.
It's a blur.
But I was walking up our back steps to our office, and the turkeys were right by the door. There was like 6 of them. And I was there early, and I just sat there and watched them for a while. And then I go to walk in, and I realized that there was a guy parked on the road with like one of those big giant cameras. He was trying to take pictures of the turkeys, and I was just standing in his shot for 5 minutes.
Like the National Geographic camera?
Yeah, like one of those big ones. Like he was trying to catch the turkeys, and he caught me. So anyway, if you're listening, guy, hey, I'm really sorry about that. I ruined his shot.
But then you, in turn, got inside and you texted me, and that made me laugh. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Ryan, we talked about author Ted Cunningham a few moments ago, and the book that we talked about on the show was A Love That Laughs, but he has another book called Fun Loving You, and I want to share a few quotes from that book because it's so good. It's really about joy and happiness being a choice that you foster in your marriage. It's not a personality trait you're born with. I mean, maybe a little bit, maybe you can be wired a little bit that way, but it also is a practice habit that you can practice and hone in on. So, here's the first one. The formula for a fun, loving marriage is not all that complicated and is found in 3 simple words: humor, enjoy, prioritize. So really, it just encapsulates the fact that a joyful marriage is mutual respect, shared enjoyment, and making each other a top priority.
Yeah.
Which, when you break it down to that, feels very achievable, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next one. We can do nothing to escape the grind. So in the meantime, choose joy. Choosing to enjoy life is a decision, so make that decision. I'm going to read that again. This is from Ted Cunningham. We can do nothing to escape the grind. So in the meantime, choose joy. Choosing to enjoy life is a decision, so make that decision. I love that because it gives you the choice and the ability to change your circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I mean, I think it is certainly a choice that you can make. Mm-hmm. And obviously we're talking about like healthy marriages, not like, I mean, obviously if there's something like serious going on, it's a different That's a different
right.
situation.
Yeah.
But
thanks for saying that.
but I do absolutely love that you have a choice. You have a choice in how you respond. You have a choice in how you react. You have a choice in how you show up to that grind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also kind of reminds me of that glass half empty, half full scenario. In the, the example we gave, our garage door, we could have let it totally ruin things, or, okay, do a little bit of firefighting, solve the problem. Luckily, we have an app where we, can take care of it. But, and then moving on, because we can't go back and change it. We can learn from it. And we can have some good jokes out of it.
Yeah.
So that's
absolutely.
all that we really can do, right? It doesn't change anything to be mad about it. So last one, and we've talked about this. This is the last quote here, but we've talked about this separation of work and home. But Ted says, when you go home at night, let your home be the place where you disconnect from the world and the grind of your job. And Ryan, you've done that so well. You do not bring work home. You don't have it on your phone. You're not checking emails. For me, I've shared with you guys that it's a little bit trickier just because I work from home a lot of days. Sometimes I'll go to a co-op work startup, I don't know, office working. What's it called? Co-op?
Co-working space.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was really difficult.
Yeah.
I'll go there. Still in vacation mode, I think.
Yeah.
So my boundaries is a work in progress with that. But you, Ryan, do a really great job. And I've heard it said too that, something when you go into that door, even having a little mantra, leaving work out there, now I'm going into my home. And I've even done it at times where I've exited our house and then said, okay, I'm home now, even though I literally was working right at the kitchen table. But there's someone that had shared, if he came home once and he was still in work mode and then he realized it. So he went back out into the garage and re-entered the house. So just having that separation of that, not bringing that grind into your home, that's going to help it to feel more joyful.
Absolutely. Oh. So we hope this gives you some encouragement, to you listeners, and really speaking to, if you're that engaged couple that you're hearing nothing but horrible things about marriage, or maybe you've been married for a long time and you just realize hey, we're not having fun anymore, or people that don't believe they could, work with their spouse or do things with their spouse. I think there's some challenges that we'd like to give you.
Yeah.
Because I think there is hope. There's a lot of fun to be had in your marriage. Yeah.
So some practical steps that they can do.
Yeah.
I was going to say, let's put some legs to it. But then I thought maybe that was too fresh to the previous leg joke.
Too fresh to the leg joke.
Although that would be a good callback.
Yeah.
Let's put some legs to it.
That's really good.
Healthy ACL legs.
Yeah. Healthy legs. Right. Yes.
Hit us with them, Ryan.
Okay. The first one is laugh together again. So rediscover humor in your relationship. Watch a funny movie, reminisce about something funny that, funny memories that have happened, or share daily lighthearted moments, things that are funny that happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is a conscious choice, right? Because it's just like when you ask your kids about school, what do you learn today? I don't know. How was your day? Good. It takes a little more effort to pull up that thought bank and think, you know what, there was this one funny thing that happened, or there was this interesting thing that I learned, whatever. It takes a little more effort, and it also takes practice. It's a skill set that you kind of have to exercise and flex that muscle to get it to be a habit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's being also being aware of those things that happen and sharing them.
I've done it before where I've taken a Post-it note and written it down because I've been busy in the moment, or thought, I don't have time to get into a text conversation with Ryan, but I want to remember to tell him this. So I'm going to write it down.
Yeah.
This funny thing that happened.
Yeah.
These are all, I want to say, Sue, these are all from that book that we reference, Fun Loving You by Ted Cunningham. So these are his action steps. So, okay. So laugh together again was number 1.
Yes. Number 2, make everyday tasks enjoyable. Turn those mundane chores into bonding activities. Michelle, we had shared a story
About the socks.
About folding socks.
Yeah. I thought of that too when you said that.
Yeah. And I think making it a fun competition, about shooting baskets into your drawer.
Yep. So we dumped all the socks into the middle of the bed. And the game was that you had to find a matching set, wad it up, however you fold socks. We tuck one outside sock. I don't know. There are multiple ways to fold socks. I don't know. You just did a little.
There's multiple ways to fold socks? I don't know.
I'm just assuming. Okay, anyways. So fold your socks into a little ball. And then we pulled all of our sock drawers open and then we had to shoot into the drawer. Yeah. That was a game. It was super fun.
Right. Yeah. Or turn your, one of the things that we probably do is on quite a few occasions of, dinner turns into like a karaoke party. Mm-hmm. We usually have music playing and singing songs of some kind. And, again, it's finding humor in things.
Yeah.
Because, Michelle, you have a very unique music style, which is really great.
I do.
You will find a song that you like, and we will listen to it on repeat.
57 times. Tell them I'm sick of it, and then I'll move on.
Right.
And, we had this question. You had this question the other day. Do you think that it's possible for one person to impact the Amazon Music algorithms? Because when I get hooked on a song, I feel like that artist probably is thinking, wow, what is this going viral or what? Right. It's actually Michelle O'Connor.
Yeah.
Listening to it on repeat in her car, in her house, with her husband, with her children. Yep. Yeah. But you're also very country. I like a little bit more of the rock vibes and kind of dance music too.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I find a lot of random songs.
Right.
But to my credit, usually when I play them, you say something to the effect of, wow, that's actually pretty good. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. It's a great song.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Right.
Broaden our horizons.
That's great. Mm-hmm. All right. So number 3 here, fight as teammates, not opponents. So this is really that same team mentality of approach disagreements with a team mindset, aiming for a resolution rather than a victory.
Yeah. Just imagine yourselves in a boat together. You're trying to go the same way. Ultimately, most of your arguments are about probably you want similar outcomes. You might want to go about it in different ways, but the long-term objective is most likely the same. Whether it's, wanting your kids to be safe, healthy, and nurtured, or, a pleasant home environment, your big outcomes are likely the same. You have the same goals.
Absolutely.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Number 4, break the routine without breaking the bank. Mm-hmm. So introduce small changes to your daily routine to keep things fresh. Yeah. Things like trying a new recipe, different route for a walk, exploring. I feel like we did that often, exploring new places within our own city. Yeah. I think there's a lot of cool places that you may not know about. Or just changing things, doing something different.
We've shared about our adventure challenges where we'll go out and we'll say, okay, which way do you want to go? North, south, east, or west? And we'll go and then we'll say, hey, when do you want to turn? Let's turn here, let's turn there. Or just picking an outlying community and saying, hey, let's go find something fun and random to do in whatever community that's 15 miles from here, 20 or 30 or whatever, but just exploring together. Yeah. And Ryan, I think what's really fun about that is our daughter is doing that now. Yeah. In her relationship, which is so sweet. Yeah. I feel like we modeled that well it's really cool. We inspired them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just thought of that. I mean, she hasn't said, oh, you guys inspired us to do this, but she grew up with us doing that. Right. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. I love it.
Kudos to us.
I was saying kudos to them, but I guess so. Kudos to us too.
Absolutely.
So, sure.
The other thing that I will just say, this is something that our son Thomas and I do every day.
Oh
this
my gosh.
Is so
sweet.
Sweet. We count dogs and we try to get to 10 dogs every day. I don't know why this started.
It started after we came back from Sweden, and there they call dogs hoons.
Yeah.
And he thought it was really fun to say the name hound. Yeah. So when we came back, he would say, hoond, hoond. And he decided he wanted to find 10 a day.
So now we try to look for dogs. Oh, dogs bring us joy. I don't know. I mean,
try it.
Try
Try
it.
to find 10 dogs a day and not be a little bit happy about it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's something you could do every day. It doesn't cost anything.
Mm-hmm. And here's what you do. If you see one, you say hoon. If you see two, it's a double-decker hoon. On the same trip, we were in London where they had double-decker buses. So we're like, hoon, double-decker hoon.
Yep.
Which our daughter was like, well, there's not such thing as a double-decker hoon. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
2 dogs is a double-decker hoon. And 3 is a triple-decker.
Yep. Come up with your own names if you want. But
see
for
if you
whatever
can get to
reason,
10.
Right. Right.
I don't know. Earlier this spring, there was a day that he saw 25, 30.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, truly, if you want what did we call it? A break the routine without breaking the bank idea.
There you go.
Count hoons.
Yep.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Good job, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 5. We're going to close with this one. Remember why your spouse is the most likable person you know. Reflect on the qualities that drew you to your spouse and express appreciation for those.
I love that. When we interviewed John R. Anderson, another author, this was a couple of weeks back now, his book, The Acceptance, he shared a story in it about how he had started to kind of complain to his mentors about his wife and how she talked all the time. And they just course corrected him and said, John, remember when you were dating Joanna, you actually really loved that about her. So it's going back and remembering why your spouse is the most likable person you know, and what did you love about them in the beginning? And maybe over time that shifted and now it annoys you, but maybe you need to reframe that. And for him, the example he gave was, it started, he just felt like she was talking all the time, but his mentor just said, remember, you love that because it helps you meet new people and you're shy and it actually encourages you guys to do new things and all of this. And he was like, oh yeah, you're right. I do. And it does. And it did. And it helped him to just recalibrate and he was able to start appreciating that again. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the important thing to remember from today is that God's design isn't just endurance. It's joy, fun, and wholeness in your marriage.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Marriage can be fun.
Yeah.
Not because it's easy, but because it's intentional.
Yeah.
And we've shared that many times that good marriages don't just happen. We didn't just fall into this. They take a lot of intentional work. So I think it's just reflecting on your marriage. If it feels like you're lacking fun, what can you do to be intentional with it? And know that it is possible to have fun with your spouse. They're not a drag. They're super fun. And I think that you can snowball this. When you start rolling this fun snowball, you might find that your spouse becomes more fun and then you become more fun and it is a chain reaction and it just keeps increasing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think your spouse wants to have fun with you. I don't think anyone gets married to have their life be a drag, right?
No, I don't think so.
Will you marry me and have a boring, stressful grind of a life?
Right.
I mean, no.
Right.
That they want to have fun too.
Right.
So have fun together.
Yeah.
And hey, Ryan, speaking of fun, next week we have a guest coming on. We have Debbie Wade coming back to talk about.
All right.
Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. That wasn't the right to talk about. Let's find the right notes for this. Ooh la la. Maybe that's better.
There you go.
To talk about. Ooh la la. Actually, she's talking about how to talk to your kids about ooh la la.
Yeah.
But
talk
she
to your kids about sex is where we're going with this.
I was trying to set it up.
That's really good.
She has talked to us about healthy sexual relationships
Yes.
with your spouse. So if you want to go back, speaking of fun, if you want to go back and listen to her shows, those have been very good. But she's coming next week to talk to us about how to really introduce that to your kids in a healthy, God-honoring way. So action step from today, Ryan, text your spouse something funny or flirty today, or find one simple way to bring fun into your marriage. We believe in you.
Yeah.
You're a fun person.
Yeah.
We know it. we can't see you right now, but I believe that you are a fun person.
Yes.
You might just have to dust it off a little bit.
Right.
Go get it. Go get that fun.
Yeah. I love it. So good.
Tell your spouse something funny or send an emoji or do something, but we believe in you. So go bring that fun back into your marriage.
Yeah, I love it.
Ryan, I almost forgot, but speaking of fun, do you know what time it is?
What time is it? Mystery question time. You better draw it.
No, you draw it.
No, I drew it last time.
Okay, fine.
You draw it.
All right. I'm not going to do the top one. I'm doing the second one in. You both have been through countless trials and adversities throughout your lives and in your marriage. What has helped you through these times? Let me read that again. You both have been through countless trials and adversities throughout your lives and in your marriage. What has helped you through those times? Ooh, great question.
Great question. Jesus.
That's a Sunday school answer.
No, I have two things I'll share.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, one, yes, I think faith has been very, very crucial in my life. I think in our relationship, in our lives together, I think faith has been a major component of that, of just having faith. I mean, part of our, our faith is that we win. And having that mindset of victory, even though like there's been a lot of struggles, there's been a lot of trials, knowing that of having that faith, that knowing that we win in the end and the best is yet to come. I think part of that has been so critical for me of just knowing, and some of that is also a mindset of continually pushing forward, continually running the race, because there's a reward.
Yeah.
I think that has been very critical. I think the second is exactly what we talked about today, of just things are going to happen, and you can either sit and just be a victim, and be sad and focus on it, or you can focus on joy. You can focus on what is ahead and the fun that is to be had.
Yeah.
I think it's a decision, and I think that's been a huge, I mean, obviously this is fresh. We're talking about having fun, but I think continually to be lighthearted and continue to not take myself that seriously. And it lightens things.
Yeah. Great answer, Ryan.
What about you, Michelle?
I think it's not allowing myself to slip into a victim mentality, because the reality is, on the side of heaven, life is going to happen. And I think through each of those trials and valleys, those have been the moments that I've grown the closest to God, and He's always been there with me, and I've always gotten through. And it's really, each of those moments has refined me and my faith walk. So just, I think in a way, looking back and seeing God's goodness in those times, I think of the story about the footprints, or is it footsteps or footprints? The poem, where the person's walking on the beach. You probably grew up with a poster of this in your house. Maybe we had one on our wall, and it was, God, where were you during that time? Why was there only one set of footprints? Where were you? Where were you? And it was like at the end of the poem, it said, there was only one set of footprints during that moment of your life, because I was carrying you. And I just think during those times, they've been tough, they've been low, but that has really shaped my life today. And an analogy that I'll give to people when they're going through tough times is, it's like either a stained glass. If you've ever seen a stained glass piece, it's a ton of broken pieces of glass welded together, or even an embroidery. If you ever had a grandmother that embroidered, or a mother, or maybe you embroider, and you know that the back of that, if you flip the cross stitch or whatever it is over, it's just a tangled mess of fabric, but on the front, it's super beautiful. And in our limited perspective, it's so difficult to see what's going on. Our relationship, for example, Ryan went through a terrible tragedy in losing his spouse. But how do you then look at Thomas and not see him as a blessing, or our marriage? And did God want that horrible thing to happen to Megan? No, he didn't. But we live in a broken, fallen world, and things happen, and diseases happen, and accidents, and people sin and make choices. Not in Megan's case. That was just a terrible disease, but things happen. But God can use that. God can use those pieces. So I think for me, it's just looking back at those broken parts of my life and knowing that to this date, God has welded all of them together, and that just gives me more assurance for the future that regardless of what happens, God is going to be there with us, and we're going to get through it together.
Well said, Michelle. Well said.
I hope that encourages someone today. It's hard. It's hard to go through hard things, but you're not alone. And find a good community too, good church community to walk with you through it.
Yeah.
So, great question.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And we want you to know we have marriage resources at Celebrate.church/marriage. If you would like to connect with one of our pastors or in any other way, you can also find that information at Celebrate.church along with our sermon times. You can watch online, and also know that we have an Instagram, Celebrate MarriageCast. Also, if you haven't taken a moment to give us a review, or depending on what platform you're watching from, follow or subscribe, we would really appreciate those actions. They would go a long way. We faithfully show up here every week and are pouring all that we can into this, and that would mean a lot to us. So thank you in advance for your reviews, your likes, your follows, subscribes. Smash that like button. Kidding.
Love it. Right.
And we hope that you have a great week, and we hope that you have fun with your spouse.
Have a great week.